And at this time, are you already thinking about like what kind of crazy stuff you're gonna do once you figure this shit out?
Once I had found out about the Paralympics, that was probably my first week when I was at Bethesda in the hospital bed, just researching. I wanted to get back in the gym, and I didn't know what I'd still be able to do in the gym. So I was maybe looking for, I forget what I searched, but like disabled sports or disabled working out or something like that. And I found the Paralympics. And at the time, I wasn't saying to myself, I'm definitely going to commit to going, because I didn't know much about it. And I still had I still had to take, a year and a half to relearn how to walk again. That was numero uno to learn how to do. But yeah, it was kind of in the back of my head. I had found about it, and I was thinking about it. That's kind of how things work for me. The idea is impregnated initially, and okay, that's an interesting idea. Paralympics, okay, that's interesting. Riding my bike cross country, okay, interesting. And then I think about it a little bit more, and time goes on. I think, yeah, I could probably do that, and then eventually I'll get to a point where all right, I'm going to do it, and then I commit to it. And so at this point, I hadn't committed to it, but I was researching and, contemplating and figuring out the feasibility and, how I would go about it if I wanted to try and make the attempt.
That seems like that would have a massive positive impact on your mindset. So something that I talked about with Jordan Peterson, and he agreed with me on this idea of finding a new mission and having a new mission. So a lot of times, and I'm sure you've seen this too, I've definitely seen it, when guys get out of the military for whatever reason, when they get out, the guys that do well are the guys that have a new mission to go on. And whether it's a new job or whether they're going to be a super dad or whether they're going to go to school and get good grades, those guys do good and in their new mission. The guys that have the most trouble, from what I've seen most of the time, is the guys that don't have a new mission. They get out and they say, well, I might do this, I might do that, I might do something else, but what they're really doing is nothing. They don't have any real direction, and they end up, what's the mission? The mission becomes have another drink, do something unproductive, do what feels good immediately, and it becomes problematic. But it seems like the fact that you found something immediately, you realized that there was a goal that you could go after, even if it was only a little idea at first.
Yeah.
That idea can carry you a long way.
Yeah, and also luckily for me, it wasn't like it's not like I was in Afghanistan one day and then separated the next day. I kind of had a mission that was, it came about by its own because, I just lost my legs. So my first mission was to learn how to walk. So I had that right away. But, while I was taking that time to do that, I was thinking about, what I'm going to do after I get out. And, every guy that gets out of the military, most of the time, when your contract's going to end, so you can start thinking about it earlier. But it's definitely, I agree with you, having something to work towards is hugely important.
See, I'll tell you that even what you just said, so there's people that they get out and you're saying, hey, I had this new mission because I had to at least learn how to walk. There's people that they get out and they don't have a new mission and they don't figure one out. And that becomes so problematic. And you know what? Let's not just apply it to the military. I'll apply this to every human being. Happens when kids get out of college, happens when kids get out of high school, happens when you go through, you've got something that you're looking at or something that you're focused on, and boom, it goes away. Well, now what are you going to do? And if you don't line something up and don't focus on something, you don't take aim at something, well, then you're not going anywhere.
Oh, yeah. It's like when you how you shoot. Do you guys call it table 2 when you're kind of working on shooting like targets that are right in front of you?
We don't call it table 2.
Okay, we call it table 2. Because table 1 is kind of the long distance rifle range.
Oh, okay.
But it's almost kind of like when you're doing that and they say, okay, shoot this guy twice and that guy twice. So you do that, and then at the end you scan and make sure there's nobody else around. So It's kind of like doing that. Your mission is to shoot the thing, but you also have to be looking out for other stuff.
Yeah. No, absolutely.